Hey folks, welcome to Did You Pack Snacks? My name is Colin.
And I'm Meg.
And this is a family travel show where we talk all things high, all things low, and the long miles in between from real parents.
We're real.
Yes, she's real, guys. And standing next to me is not just Meg. She is my beautiful wife, my co-host, my co-parent. I mean, I travel the world with you along with our girls, and were it not for you, I don't know if our life would be this exciting, because you are the one that always has the great ideas on where to go, what to do.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I like exciting things.
And then I just sit behind a computer and figure out the cheapest ways to do it.
Yeah, you figure out how to make it happen. Make my dreams come true.
Which last night we were kind of recapping one of our future trips. Mm-hmm. But a few episodes ago, we talked about the IHG Premier card. Mm-hmm. And last night I was recounting to you how many free nights we're getting. Do you remember?
I think, well, we're booking travel right now for our time in Asia later this year. Mm-hmm. And I think you said that we have 14 nights of free lodging so far.
That's right, folks. 14 free nights at different hotels from Hong Kong to Bali. I mean,
really nice hotels, though. Like one of them, all the kids eat for, I said all the kids, the two of them, they get to eat for free, which is really cool. Yeah. But even just looking at them, I mean, there's beautiful pools. These aren't just like one-off weird stays. They're really beautiful places.
Right. And we'll get into weird stays soon because we went to possibly the worst hotel I've ever not even been to this past week. And I can't wait to talk about that. But I didn't even mean to talk about the IHG card. I kind of, thought about it as soon as we hit record, and I just got really excited about it, and I just wanted to share.
Well, can you just remind the people, in case this is their first podcast, which if this is your first podcast, welcome. We're so glad you're here. But remind the people how you made this possible. It's a travel rewards card.
Yes, and it's by just being a geek and being a student of the points and miles world. But I'm not an expert. Disclaimer, I'm not an expert. Maybe a little nerdy, but, not a pro. But this card had a promotion for 175,000 points. The annual fee is $99. So you do have to pay that every single year. But IHG, home to Holiday Inn, home to Kimpton, home to Staybridge Suites, and a bunch of other brands. They're all over the world. You can stay in it, and a reward night, if you stay at an IHG resort for 3 nights, you always get the 4th night free, which is how we're able to keep, building points and then spending it on hotels. But I will say this, it's not a great redemption value if you're planning to do this stateside or in Europe.
Yeah, because we were looking last night, and just for reference, booking a night in Bali at a really nice resort or hotel takes about 14,000 points a night. When we started looking up stateside locations, it was 70,000 points a night is where it just started. Average. They went up from there.
Yeah.
So it definitely is something to look into for international travel. It wouldn't really benefit you much in the States, I don't think.
All right. I feel like we just jumped off the deep end there. Yeah, we just went straight to the nerdy stuff.
Yes.
But let's peel it back and go get the card, read about it. If you're interested, there will be a link below. If not, it's cool. If you're here just to talk about travel mishaps, we are here for you. And to jump into all that, Megan, let's talk about our week.
Yeah. So, are you going to start with the Haunted Mansion? Colin,
in lieu of the latest Disney movie, cue the story, Megan.
So we went on a little road trip. We went to Atlanta. Colin had to work down there, and then we headed to Nashville. So we're driving to Atlanta. It's only about 2 hours from where we live. And Colin had booked a place for us to stay. He said that it had a pool, which is all really that we need, because when he's working, I take the girls to the pool. So we get there, and
they had a treadmill.
I wanted a gym. So we get there. We're in Midtown. We're in the middle of Atlanta. It's busy. We pull up, and just like any major city, of course, you're just going to have to valet your car. There's nowhere to park. stressful, lots of people. So we get in to where we think we need to be. We give them our car.
Yeah.
And we walk into...
Which for small town people like us, when I see valet parking, I just get nervous.
I know, every time.
I'm like, who's this guy taking my car?
Are we sure this is okay?
Yeah.
So we get to the check-in desk to check in to what we thought was our hotel. And they were like, oh, no. Take the elevator downstairs. There's another check-in desk for you. Mm-hmm. And just in that moment, I thought, well, that's kind of weird. So we take the elevator downstairs. And we get down there. It's a smaller check-in desk. Mm-hmm. Looks less nice than the one we passed upstairs.
A little warm
down there. And I thought, this is just interesting. I've never had to walk through a hotel to get to my hotel.
Yeah.
So whatever, it's a city. They're trying
Atlanta,
to maximize space. So we get our room key, we get in the elevator, and then I knew that it was bad news when we got to like the 21st or 22nd floor. And the doors open and it's just real warm
and muggy.
Like right when you step off the elevator, that, the hotel hallway is just warm and muggy. And I thought, yeah, this is about to be interesting. So sure enough, we walk into our room and
at first glance, it looked fine.
For you, I walked in and immediately was like, Colin, just go ahead and start. You need to go talk to them. We can't stay here. And I'm not even that kind of a person. I make do with a lot of meh. But when you're paying top dollar to stay downtown.
It was $190.
Right, but it wasn't like $70,
right.
And it felt like that.
Yeah.
But there's just, you could just see handprints and dirt on multiple different surfaces in the room.
Lots of greasy surfaces.
It smelled really bad.
Furnitures that was peeling.
It was
cracking.
broken. The desk was broken. So anyway, Colin went down almost immediately, said, "Hey, this is what's going on. I'm so sorry, but is there another place we could stay?" So they sent him a few floors up for an upgrade. And he calls me and he's like, "Yeah, it's the same." So then we just, it happens. It definitely happens. I will say you told me that you kind of just like chose this place to stay because you had stayed in the same kind of place the week before in Texas.
Yeah.
And so you didn't read reviews.
Yeah.
And that was kind of where it all went wrong.
Are we allowed to name this hotel? Because I feel like we're doing our people justice.
Yeah, you can tell them.
Okay, don't stay at the Staybridge Suites, Atlanta Midtown.
Yeah, it was.
It's just, if you want, if you're a big Walking Dead fan and you want to relive the experience, go for it.
Go for it.
If you want a lobby that doesn't even have a ceiling or a valet that takes you 30 minutes to collect your car, yeah, go for it.
This is your place. But I will say that for most people, including us, the reviews are usually a giveaway.
I did not read the reviews.
In this situation, you just quickly were like, "Hey, I stayed in a place like this last week. You stayed at a Staybridge in San Antonio. It was a great experience." So yeah, then you just copy and pasted to Atlanta, and that was a no-go.
No.
Anyway, we ended up finding a great place to stay right up the road. We had a great time in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Had a lot of fun at the pool with the girls. The hotel room was clean. And then we made our way to Nashville.
Which Nashville was fun. Shout out to our friends, the O'Connors, for hosting us. They introduced us. I knew what Mario Kart was.
Wow, we're jumping right into it.
I mean, that's...
You were like, yeah, Nashville was great. Can we talk about Mario Kart?
Well, because we lived in Nashville before, so we didn't go with, tourist rose-colored glasses.
Right.
There wasn't murals that I had to stand in line for or, certain foods that I had to try. I mean, trust me, Nashville has a lot of good places and good restaurants that I have to go to. A lot of cool chefs are doing lots of cool things there. This trip just wasn't that kind of trip. This was like a let's see our friends kind of trip.
Right. And you had to go for work.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nashville, I'm going to talk about Nashville a little bit before you jump into Mario Kart.
And before we jump into that, can we always just mention for work, but never explain to people what I do because it sounds like I'm a spy.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And
anyways, we were there for work.
And can we always just say before we jump into that? But wait, before we jump into that.
Lots of pre-diving.
Let's just slowly step into this conversation.
Okay.
we lived in Nashville. Liv was born there. We were only there for about a year and a half.
It felt like an eternity.
We won't get into it, but we'll leave some more things just a mystery. Well, I will tell you a little bit. But we moved there when I was pregnant with Liv. And then after she came, and it just kind of turned into a little bit of a dark season. And that's not because Nashville's not great. That's because I had some postpartum depression. So we went in with this great, ambitious idea of what it would be like to move from, our small, medium town here in South Carolina to a city. We'd always wanted to live in a city. Maybe before kids, we thought that we'd really love to live in a city.
Yeah.
And when we got there, our experience, people were great, city was great, everything was great. But then there were just some clouds that lingered for a long time.
Yeah.
And so that kind of tainted our experience. But we have a lot of great memories there, and we actually haven't been back since we left, which is really wild.
Yeah.
So most of the people we saw remembered Liv as a baby and Charlotte as like a 2-year-old. So we did a little bit of nostalgic things. We took them to the houses that we used to live in. We drove by the hospital where Liv was born, just all the things that parents do that our kids didn't really care about. Although
Did
Liv,
not care.
She did think it was cool. Like, I was born at that hospital, or however she says
Hospital.
it. Hospital. But yeah, it was really fun. And I enjoyed getting to show them that little piece of our life that neither of them remember. But back to our friends, staying at their house, introduced to Mario Kart.
On the Switch.
On the Switch.
And I tell you what, we played every night.
Yeah.
And I think this year Charlotte's getting a Switch for Christmas, but really it's a gift for us.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those a family gift. It could be a family gift.
Why Christmas? Why can't it be my birthday gift? My birthday's coming up in October.
It can be whatever you need it to be. It can be for your birthday.
That's it. Y'all, we're getting a Switch.
We're also grown-ups that you could say, this is my birthday gift and I'm going to buy it in August.
Yeah.
And like, you could do that.
Let's think about it. Let's chat offline. Okay. Let's put a pin on it.
We don't have to be the kind of people that have to wait for your actual birthday to open something. I could just give you a gift on your birthday that's a picture of you playing the Switch, and you just know.
And yeah, happy birthday.
It was that moment. Sure.
But yeah, I think I was just always fearful of video games because I feel like I have a gamer bone in me. And I feel like if I just opened that world, we would be transported into a different realm. Mm-hmm. And same with for our kids, like I didn't want them to be holding a Switch constantly and so, but then our friends had really good rules and barriers and or boundaries, I would say, on how they handle it.
Right. Their kids can play on the TV only. Like, you can set it up like a gaming system, and then they have timers set that their son gets an hour a day. Yeah. But then when the kids go to bed, the timer goes off.
And that's the cool thing about the Switch is it has a built-in timer, so it just shuts off. Mm-hmm. You're not playing the whole game like, I said 2 minutes, and okay, 3 more minutes. The thing just shuts off.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, talking about screens, Nashville's about 6 hours from where we live here in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And we have kind of created this expectation with our girls that travel days are just screen days.
And that's the thing I wanted to chat about, because a lot of people always ask us, how do you guys travel and still listen to podcasts? Mm-hmm. Which we listen to 5 episodes of Scamanda. Mm-hmm. And our friend...
is a podcast about a woman who basically scammed a large community that she had cancer. And I'm not ruining it by telling you that she in fact didn't.
Right. I mean, it's the #1 podcast.
Okay.
Yes, I think people, recognize the name Scamanda. But while we're listening to Scamanda, our girls are, they each have an iPad and they watch shows that I downloaded them and games that they're playing. Mm-hmm. And that's just, I think, a general rule that we have on long travel days, and we're fine with it because... Mm-hmm. In our regular lifestyle, they belong at the bottom of the hutch. They don't touch it.
Yeah, they're tablets, iPads, whatever you have. When we're home, they know that they're non-existent. They're not able to use them, and we pull them out specifically for travel days, so they're exciting and fun. And that really just keeps them entertained. I mean, on the way back from Nashville, I barely heard a peep.
Seriously?
They were entertained. And Liv was even telling us, well, she occasionally would take off her headphones because she was watching. What was she watching?
Did you know, Storybots? Did you know that the sun is a star and is the biggest planet in the galaxy?
Yeah.
And then put her head back on.
Yeah, just doing a little learning. But yeah, that's kind of how we have set the rule for our family. I know that everybody thinks about screens in a different way. We all want to do what's best for our kids, but that's just a little tidbit in how we have navigated that, especially made travel days enjoyable for them, but also enjoyable for us because, you know, there is a lot of, I don't know, back in the day, I remember when they were a lot littler and screens weren't something that kept them entertained. I wanted to be the one that drove. I don't even really like driving, but I didn't want to be like car mom.
You didn't want to be car mom.
I didn't want to be car mom. I didn't want to be talked to the entire drive. I didn't want to be asked for snacks the entire drive. I didn't want to be asked how much longer it's going to take for us to get there.
You just want a time to pass.
Right. And car mom has kind of like the responsibilities have lessened again.
Yeah.
And I feel really thankful for that. I will also say we got a new car recently. It's been a long time since we've gotten a new car. We needed it, but we got a new car and it shows, you know, the GPS, Google Maps on the screen. And the best thing now
we got a car with a screen, y'all.
Right. And
it's the biggest revelation for us.
The girls can see like the countdown, how many minutes until we get to our destination. And that's actually been a huge gift too, because they're always asking,
they don't ask us anymore.
How long until we get there? And I'm like, oh, just look at the screen. Except when we started the road trip back, it was like 5 hours and 48 minutes. And Liv goes, what number is that? That's a little too big.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a great weekend. It was a great road trip, minus our little Atlanta haunted mansion, Walking Dead scene. I think that it was great. And I was also happy to come home.
Yeah. And if parents out there, if you have more tips and tricks on how you do screens or how you do navigate that in your day-to-day life versus traveling, let us know. We want to hear them. Of course, we want to parent our kids better in the long miles in between.
Right.
You want to do a little quick travel news before we jump in to what we're going to chat about today?
Sure.
Okay, real quick. We all know Mattel at this point.
Yes, Barbie.
If you went to the theaters, watch Barbie, Mattel is, you know, this giant company that not only does Barbie, it does Thomas and Friends.
Oh, okay.
It does Hot Wheels. You know the game Uno?
I do.
Do you know of He-Man and Grayskull?
I don't.
Skeletor?
Nope.
You don't?
No.
Man, the cartoon He-Man, he rides a little lion. He doesn't wear a shirt.
Never.
Okay. Well, Mattel, well, now you're going to know.
Okay. Because
Mattel just announced that they're opening Mattel Adventure Park in Glendale, Arizona, 2024. So there's going to be a Barbie rooftop restaurant.
Oh, wow.
A Barbie life-size dream house. There's going to be rides, and there's going to be a pool, an artificial beach. So a lot of brands and companies are moving towards smaller family theme parks.
I mean, it's really smart. So this is going to be like roller coasters,
Yeah.
like Six Flags, or more like a fair with like 3 rides and a dream house to walk through.
Oh, we don't know, Meg.
Okay.
I mean, I know
to be determined.
I know there'll be rides, like a Hot Wheels themed ride for sure.
I wonder if it's going to be themed like that. All the lifeguards at the beach are Ken, that they do beach.
They do beach.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to go there and just beach.
Just beach.
Artificially,
right.
Of course. All right, y'all. Today's episode, we're going to talk to you about travel insurance. And I know what you're thinking. It's not appealing. It's not cool to talk about insurance. But this is a family travel podcast. You got little kids with you, and you're bound to have travel mishaps. Which, speaking of, we should do a Dear Diary episode soon. I need some laughter.
That's true.
And I need some stories. But we want to talk to you about a real story. This is not an ad. Nobody's paying us to say this, although we do love the company that we worked with. But this is a true story of how we spent $1,000 and it saved us $23,000.
Right. So a little backstory. When this trip happened, it was summer of 2017. Charlotte was 8 or 9 months old, and we had always wanted to do a big trip, Colin and I. And we just decided this is the time. We had a transition with what Colin was doing for work, and we just
again for work
secret. And we just thought, man, we could take 4 or 5 months off, go see the world. We had saved a bunch of money and decided literally, should we buy a car? Nope, let's go make some memories. And so that's what we did. And we went to Iceland and Italy and Kenya and Egypt and Thailand, Malaysia. Anyway, Charlotte's a baby. This is our first time traveling and our first time as parents. So after the trip was ultimately scheduled, got our plane tickets, we're ready to leave. I had this lingering thought, a little bit of worry, anxiety. Some of it's just a part of my personality. And again,
you're an Enneagram 7
right,
with a 6 wing.
I like to have fun, but sometimes I worry about it.
Yep.
And just being a new mom, I was thinking, we're both really comfortable with traveling, but this is a whole new dynamic bringing a baby along. And so very last minute, we kind of looked online and we found a company called World Nomads, and we read a bunch of reviews, and we basically picked a plan that would cover us in a worst case scenario. And how much did it cost? You said...
Yeah, somewhat around $1,000.
Right. And that was for all the different countries we were going to. You gave them as many details about your trip as you knew.
You pretty much on their homepage, you can request a quote.
Yeah.
So you put in a start date and an end date, and you list all the places you're going to. Mm-hmm. And then boom, right then and there, you get a quote.
Right. So we did it. And even when it was happening, we were just kind of a little bit hesitant because it was an extra expense that we hadn't planned for. And we just thought, man, it's really not going to help. We don't need this.
Yeah.
So fast forward, we're in Thailand. We've already visited a bunch of countries. We've had a great time, no issues. And we get there and our little girl gets sick. We start bringing her to the doctor throughout our time there. And if you don't know a lot about Southeast Asia, Thailand is known for their medical care. Yeah. So it was incredible that this is where all of this went down, because we had great doctors that we could visit. If you're just sick with the flu, there are so many great doctors that you can see. It's known for medical tourism.
Yeah, the hospital we actually went to, shout out to Bangkok Hospital. They actually had a whole tourism wing where you could go schedule your surgery and also schedule all your excursions.
Yeah.
And they had different offices. Like, this is the Japanese office. This is the Arabic office. And you just, they had all these things that you can sign up for, plus surgeries. Yeah.
Right. And we have friends that live overseas that basically say that most expats that live in Southeast Asia go to Bangkok to have anything serious handled. So Charlotte gets sick. We think that it's the flu, some kind of respiratory infection. And this was the first time as a little baby that she had gotten this sick. And, knowing what we know now about her, she has asthma. This is going to be a part of her story. We have a lot more tools in our tool belt to help her. But at the time, this was our first experience navigating a respiratory infection. And it went from bronchitis to pneumonia really quick. And I remember the night where, she was up coughing and I knew, man, we got to take her in. And a friend of ours drove us to Bangkok Hospital. They analyzed her and then immediately admitted her to the ICU. And she spent over a week there.
9 days.
I think 9 days in the ICU and then 2 days just in the children's ward once she was discharged from the ICU. And that experience in and of itself, we've tried to block, I guess, have tried to block from my memory because she was really sick.
Yeah.
And it's really scary being overseas in a different country with your first baby. Like I said, now I feel like we've navigated a lot of these parent crisis situations that maybe we have a little bit more, experience that we can handle them in a different way. But this time just felt really scary. And, talking to a doctor and we didn't speak Thai and the nurses didn't speak English, and just trying to we call World Nomads and we're trying to communicate with them, trying to make sure that we had everything that we needed because we knew we don't know how much this is going to cost.
Yeah.
We don't even know how long she's going to be here, but we know that that World Nomads or our travel insurance is going to be able to help us. So we start making those phone calls. We navigate, that week with our girl that was so scary. I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. Right. But I will say the entire time she was there, even though sometimes the cultural differences were hard, just an example, in the pediatric ICU, we weren't allowed to stay with her overnight, which in America, they would be like, there's no way I'm leaving my child with you.
Right.
In the general children's ward, you got to sleep with your kid, but in the ICU, they were under 24/7 nurse care, and they closed the ICU to parents and families at a certain time every night, and then you had to come back the next morning, which was so traumatic to leave her.
Yeah.
But I knew that she was getting really great care. It was just one of those cultural differences that was really hard.
Yeah. The only silver lining of that situation was that my best friend from college lived 5 minutes away from the hospital.
Yeah, that's wild.
Who's Thai, and so we got to go at least stay at his house and then wake up early in the morning,
and he'd
6
bring us
a.m.,
back to the
and
hospital.
be back at the hospital again.
Right.
And I just want to, talk about how easy the process was with World Nomads, because in the 11 days that we were there, I had no brain capacity to figure out insurance. Mm-hmm. All I gave them was the number. There was one phone number that World Nomads gave us, and I just said, this is it. And
you gave the hospital that number.
Right.
The billing department.
Yeah. And that was all my brain could handle.
Right.
And of course, everything got settled. And not only did they pay for hospital bills, which was close to $20,000.
It was over. It was about a little over $20,000. I remember we were in the children's ward because Charlotte had been discharged from the ICU. She was feeling a lot better. And we had a couple more countries that we were planning to visit on this trip, but we made the decision along with her doctor to just go straight home. So we're discharging from the hospital. They give you the bill, and you're actually not allowed to leave the hospital until the bill is paid in full, which had we not had insurance, we would have been like applying for a loan or something.
Yeah,
but they said that the cost of her care was a little over $20,000. We waited in that room for a couple hours, and then the nurse came in and said it's all taken care of. Like, the insurance company worked that fast.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, you can tell them what else World Nomads covered to take us home.
Yeah, first class flights, 5 nights on a cruise.
No, but we had to cancel some of our trip that was still planned. So they reimbursed us for accommodations that didn't give us a refund.
Right.
And then we didn't have plane tickets home yet because we weren't planning to go back then.
Right.
And they paid for our plane tickets home.
Yeah, because they said if you want to come home, we'll pay for those flights. But if you choose to keep going, then we can't cover it.
Right.
So in that moment, we chose to just come back, stabilize, figure out what to do with our newly diagnosed child. And so we chose to fly home. And so they booked, 2 days later, we were on a plane back to the U.S., which I'm guessing those flights would have cost around $4,000.
Yeah. And then all of the things that we didn't get to do. I think we were planning to go to Australia and New Zealand. New Zealand remains like
right.
the place to be discovered for the Mukri family.
We got to go to Australia in 2021.
Yeah.
But boy, oh boy, New Zealand.
We're still waiting to redeem New Zealand.
Yeah,
we can't wait.
It's making us wait.
But we had to cancel some of our accommodations there, and World Nomads helped by reimbursing some of those costs. And so really this sounds like an ad, but it's not. And we're sharing it just because it literally saved our tails. Like, yeah. I can't imagine having a kid that sick overseas. Obviously, we couldn't have planned it. We couldn't have prevented it. But I can't imagine having that experience and then walking away and maybe not being able to afford to take her to the best care, or walking away with crazy medical debt, or having some weird experience in a different country because they're not letting you leave the hospital, which I understand.
Yeah.
Because then you're just going to get on a plane and leave. But like, what do? You're going to have to finance something in a different country. So it just proved to be invaluable.
Right.
To us.
Yeah.
Is that what you say? Invaluable or valuable?
I don't know. But whatever, you get it. You know what we're talking about. But I also want to say this to all the other, parents who love travel, that have kids. Like, I heard this said not too long ago, but all our kids are custom made. So in the case of Charlotte, like, she is unique in her own way, and she may come with a set of, what do you call this? Undiagnosed, or, you may be surprised while you're traveling.
By a new food allergy or some experience that you just didn't uncover until you were in a different country, or God forbid, like you were in a car accident or a scooter accident.
Yeah.
You know, there are all the unforeseen emergency situations that can happen at home can also happen when you're traveling. And we've just found that being prepared through our personal experience saved us a huge headache and allowed our girl to get the care that she needed. And so now we're believers.
We are believers.
We're travel insurance advocates.
Yeah. And World Nomads is actually, there's a lot out there. There's other companies, but it's actually not expensive. You know, especially if you're going on a 1 week vacation, like I can't imagine it being that crazy expensive.
And I think our personal experience hopefully offers you peace of mind, because I know when I'm getting insurance for my car or for my house, I'm immediately thinking, wait, is this actually going to turn out to benefit me? If something happens, is there going to be some, red tape or some little tiny disclaimer that I forgot to read and I'm paying into something that will never actually help me? And I think before this experience, I probably would have assumed that about travel insurance. Like, yeah, sure, get it. It'll help you, in a worst case scenario, maybe.
Yeah.
But no, it actually proved to be what they advertised, that they helped us in a time of need, and it was fast and easy, and they brought us home.
Yeah. And speaking of travel insurance, I think after we record this, I'm going to buy some for our upcoming trip.
Okay.
You've influenced me. You sold it. Okay. We're done with that.
We're done.
Sorry if we just spent some time selling something to you. I don't know. Just think of it as we're on the front porch, we're drinking coffee, and I just told you a story about insurance.
Sure.
Okay? Cool.
And we can celebrate that Charlotte is leaps and bounds. Her lungs are so much better than they used to be.
Way to
so
go.
thankful.
Way to go, medicine.
Way to go,
Way
modern
to go,
medicine.
all you doctors and especially nurses. Man, we appreciate y'all.
We really do. So I think that's it.
That's it. We got a shorter one today.
We got maybe. I mean, I could look at my phone right now.
I don't know. We chatted a long time about Mario Kart.
I don't know.
Parents, don't forget to pack snacks and do not book the Staybridge Suites in Atlanta Midtown. Bye.
Bye.